Hi everyone, it's Jamie from Coptrz, Commercial Drone Experts. We have got a brand new course that we're going to be delivering, and we've been putting some questions together for you guys, some frequently asked questions that we normally get for ourselves. But who better to ask than the actual creator of the course? We have Ray Faulkner from iRed. So Ray, do you want to just start us off by telling us a bit about yourself, and we'll jump straight in?
Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Q&A session. My name's Ray Faulkner. I've been involved with thermography since 2002, and we developed this course as a result of undertaking aerial thermography that we've been attempting to do actually since 2007. We moved from using a mast-based system, and our first drone was in 2012. So we've had a number of years where I'm afraid we've made an awful lot of mistakes as well, done an awful lot of learning, and we've created this course because there are people now who have very specific needs in the aerial environment to use this remote sensing technology. So we've taken the information and the expertise that we've gathered over the years from the ground-based courses, and we've adapted it for the aerial environment.
Fantastic. No, that's awesome. Cheers for that, Ray. So yeah, we're just going to fly through a few of these questions here for Ray today, and hopefully that'll answer anything that you've been considering, looking to get into this thermography industry. So yeah, we'll start off with for yourself, actually, Ray. How did you get into the thermography and aerial thermography?
It started when we were looking at energy and heat loss from buildings, and we wanted to be able to look at the roof properly, and ground-based thermography really wasn't cutting it at the end. And there's a general principle that a third of the heat could be lost through the roof. So we knew we had to be able to get our cameras into the right position to be able to map the heat loss that would be coming from there. As I said earlier, we started this because there was no such thing as drones with a mast-based system, but that limited us to about 30 meters. The drones have opened up a complete new world to us. We started off by trying to use ground-based cameras in the aerial environment, but we've rapidly moved on to adapting the thermographic cores. These are lightweight, and it has allowed us to look at large expanses of not only buildings now, but solar parks, wind farms, an endless list actually that keeps growing, even down to archaeology, and the list goes on. So that's then how we started, and what we found was we needed to now actually go from it just putting a camera onto the bottom of the drone and flying, to actually coming up with rules on the way that we would actually capture this, so that any survey we did was repeatable. And the importance of that is for the third party, for somebody who's going to be looking at the work that you do. They want to be assured that the methods that have been used are repeatable methods that then have quality behind it. Certainly there are other uses where you're not looking at necessarily providing a report or providing an output to your customer, such as search and rescue. This is much more immediate. Yeah. But even in those circumstances, the guys need to be able to quickly adapt to what their cameras are capable of doing and the changes of environment. What can they do from the ground to be able to get the best image and the best resolutions that they possibly can?
Spot on. Yeah, and just adapting to that situation, like you say, understanding the settings and whatnot. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, and that is generally leading on to the next question: why you created the course, then, really?
This came about because we already ran accredited training courses for both the British Institute of NDT and for Ofqual backed environment for ground-based thermography. And this happened in a number of fields which were well known and understood. So in particularly electromechanical or civil and building type applications. So it might be that you're looking for, I don't know, leaking pipes underwater, looking for water ingress on flat roofs, looking for loss, continuity of insulation, and yada, yada, yada. The way that we would go about it on the ground is quite structured. And the way somebody would build up their competency, their experience, is now well documented. It is still a new industry, but be under no illusion, this hasn't been around for many years. When I started in 2002, there was very, very little either in terms of output for people to look at or applications that we're using now. But we're still finding new ones all the time. But the principles now, I think, are fairly well known and understood. So the purpose of doing the aerial was that literally within the last 5 years, we've now had both the drones and the camera cores at a price that far greater number of people can get involved in it.
Yeah.
But they need to be able to have direction. We can't have everybody going off and doing their own thing. Well, we can, but there've been, from a customer point of view, there'd be no confidence in it.
Yeah.
So the purpose of designing the course was to say, look, iRed are actually in this unique position that we already understand drones very, very well. We already understand thermography. Let's put these two together and actually at least give a starting point for people to be able to go off and say, okay, I might want to move that technology on. I might want to change or add in, but there are principles that we will learn on this course that actually, they're going to transcend any particular flavor of course. These are basics that everybody should understand before they go off and develop any new systems.
Yeah, that rule of thumb, that consistency. Yeah, I completely get that. That's spot on. Cheers for that, Ray. And again, it falls on nicely for who should be looking to use this course. Who is the course actually for them?
In simple terms, I think it is for anybody who either already have their, well, in today's terms, their PFCO, or have an interest in drones and have an interest in actually more than just the flying of the drones. They will see the drone as a tool to enable them to go off and do a piece of work, something that they hopefully be paid for. That person may be interested in a whole variety of remote sensing pieces of equipment. And a number of the methods that we teach will transcend the actual camera that's on the front, the way that you would operate as a team, or if you're working on your own, how do you actually approach the subject that you're wanting to do. It is going to give a very good introduction to people who are wanting to see whether this is potentially a career change for them. It will give them a very good foundation without it just being sales speak, for want of a better word, that they will see, look, this is a serious application. Is it something that I want to invest further in terms of the equipment that I might buy, or in terms of further training that I might want to go on and undertake? So in that way, it's broad, that different people will come onto the course for different reasons, but it's focused in that, and I promise them, anybody who comes onto the course will learn a lot of very good basic information about the technology.
Spot on. So you don't have to be experienced. This is a learning curve. This could be.
Well, no, that's the whole point. This is taking the people who, they're taking them from scratch. Now, we learned with a number of the ground-based courses that people may be already qualified electricians or qualified mechanical or engineers. Equine, they might have all sorts of qualifications there. And that's fine, that's great, because then what they will do is they will be quickly taking the the basics of this technology, and then applying it to the application that they're interested in. When we use the word drone, we've got a whole plethora of people who will be interested in this technology. So we could say, you're coming from the search and industry background. You might be well competent in how you would create a search for a missing child or something like this. So you will already come to the course with an idea of how you want to employ the technology. What you'll be looking for is, can this give added value to what I'm already doing? And that's fine, that's fair enough. But equally, we will have people approach us who've sort of said, look, I like the idea of being able to have a career change, and you know, I think I would enjoy having a career within the drone industry. Now I want to know what I can do with it. And again, I would say this course is ideal because it will show them that actually, you know, it's not all easy. So for instance, if you're interested in solar parks or wind farms, you will be doing your flying during the day. That's quite normal. Mm-hmm. If you're interested in doing building thermography, forget it. You're going to be doing this at night when it's cold and you really ought to be in bed, and all sensible people are. But other people get quite excited by it. So we do need to cater for a very, very wide audience, and we recognize that. And that's why we don't put the onus too much on them at the beginning. We sort of say, look, we recognize you're going to be coming from a number of different backgrounds. We believe that during the course of the 4 days, we're going to give you useful information. What you then do with it, well, then that's another decision-making process. So you could either go on and do accredited training. We can take you to advanced training. You can then discuss what equipment that you want to be buying. And there's all sorts of ways. But then that becomes the individual's choice at that stage.
That's perfect. No, that's spot on. That's a great answer. Cheers for that, Ray. The next one is just about the benefits, really. So what are the benefits and learning outcomes of the actual course?
The benefits are simply that it will put you into a far better position, and with no disrespect to camera manufacturers or the local press, we will debunk a number of myths surrounding the technology. We will give it to you straight. Mm-hmm. You know, we've all seen the films where the bad guys are looking at them through brick walls and things like this. You know, the technology is well understood, but it cannot defy physics. We will go through what it can, what it can't do for you. And I think the majority of people would turn around and say, I didn't realize what it could, or I didn't realize what it couldn't do. Mm-hmm. And they will be armed with good knowledge to then make future decisions. This is a basic course, so I make no bones about it. We're not trying to turn you into experts. You can't do it in that sort of period of time. You're going to need a lot more experience. You're going to have to do a fair bit of work afterwards. But you could be, for argument's sake, a manager in a construction company, for instance, and you would want to know, could this technology be useful in the type of work that you or your engineers were doing? This course will give that to you for you to then go and make informed decisions about how you then want to go forward with it.
Yes.
And I think that's most definitely that's what we set out to be very clear on what that benefit would be.
Future decision making, yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a benefit that I've got from the outset already. Also, and just off the back of that, then, Ray, question is, obviously it's classed as a Category 1 course. What does that Category 1 mean then?
Yeah, this is quite confusing for a lot of people. It depends where you go. You know, each accreditation type industry will have different definitions of them. But in broad brush and in general terms, when we talk about a Category 1 style of course. We're saying that we are going to take an individual from having no knowledge to an individual that will have sufficient knowledge, and in the aerial thermal world, that they can go out and take a fully focused and thermally tuned image and be able to present that image back to either their client or the interested party that they need to communicate with. And then we put a big full stop there. We are not saying that they can analyze that image. We're not saying that they will be able to provide their customer with, I can't use the right word, a way of how to fix their problem. That would imply that you are a professional, I don't know, surveyor, architect, electrician, whatever it might be. You may well have those qualifications, in which case you will be able to talk about it. But from a purely in isolation, anybody coming on this course should, at the end of it, be able to handle the equipment properly, be able to capture the image properly, and then be able to present that image out for an advanced thermographer to be able to analyze it, and with sufficient confidence that the parameters have been set up correctly in the first place to be able to make the analysis. And I think that's a broad brush. So it now doesn't then matter whether we're saying it is going down a particular, whether it's going down the off-qual route or the UCAS route or whatever else. They're all then at that point it just goes down to the little nuances of what each is looking for. Yeah,
no, that's spot on, Ray. Thank you. So we're bridging across those data gaps of knowledge and giving people this confidence to go into these situations. So yeah, that's perfect. So a bit of a different one here. So you've obviously mentioned about starting on the ground, then going to aerial. Do you actually need a drone to attend this course then?
No. The course itself has been designed on the basis that anybody who is interested in thermography can attend it. We're not saying that you shouldn't have your own equipment, and if you had, great. Hopefully, you'll be able to marry the two in. But we do have a lot of people coming onto the course already who don't have any equipment, and I think what we wanted to be able to do was to impart enough impartial information about what could be good in a camera, resolutions of a camera, what resolutions you might want for particular applications, so that the learner can then make an informed decision themselves about what they then want out of it. And of course, the bottom line very often is the budget that they've got to play with at the end of the day, and these sorts of things will get discussed as well. And we're always available to discuss on a one-to-one basis those sort of questions that people might have. But in terms of doing the course itself, no, it's self-contained. It's enough. Everything is within it. What you will need, though, if you want to go past just having a CPD certificate at the end of the course, and you want to actually become a level 1 thermographer, at that point, yes, you would need to have equipment, but it's not necessary to actually pass this part.
The actual course, just the actual course. Yeah, spot on. And again, that leads us nicely on to, can you just explain a little bit more about the 5 pieces of work that actually need submitting then, and on what format as well? How would that come about?
Okay, so search and rescue aside, most pieces of work that people will be undertaking will be data collection of one form or another. And one of the fairest ways of being able to transcend all of the different applications is to say, what we want to see from the candidate is evidence of a competency that they can collect that data and then present that data in a manner that we as experienced thermographers would then be able to take and say, yes, I can now see this X, Y, Z in it, or I can do this analysis with it. So what we're actually looking for is somebody who can take a thermally tuned and focused image. Now, if they can't capture it that way, there's no piece of software that's going to rectify that afterwards. So that's an imperative. That's purely down to them.
Okay.
We want to make sure, and drone pilots actually are already in tune with this, because they will already be thinking about environmental conditions for the copter. They'll be looking at maximum wind speed, and they'll be looking at, if they were doing solar parks, they're not going to be doing it, when you've got lots of clouds going over, they certainly wouldn't be flying in the rain, these sorts of things.
Yes.
Okay, again, search and rescue might not have that choice, and they're going to be doing it. But nevertheless, in terms of being able to demonstrate competence, we need them to be able to capture an image of whatever it would be that interests them. And we want them to be done on 5 separate occasions. Mm-hmm. And we will ask for, and it doesn't need to be War and Peace, but we will be looking for site notes or some handwritten notes that will go with it, that will explain the circumstances of what they captured, how they captured it, the environmental conditions around it, and then what they did in order to produce it. And it can come to us as a PDF, or we will ask for it to be sent to us through electronically. We will then go through it and then obviously send it back to them without comments. But once we've got on file 5 pieces of work that demonstrate competence, I think then it is reasonable for us to be able to issue the iRed's level 1 certificate. And don't forget also, just leading on from that, mm-hmm. that because the course has been conducted to ISO 18436 standard anyway, we will also, if those people came back to us and said, I would now like to go down, or I've been asked specifically for the client I'm working for, that they would like me to produce a piece of work, but they insist that they are PCN qualified, or they're ABI qualified, or whatever qualification it might be. Mm-hmm. We can then take these people and then we can upscale or upskill them to enable them to do whatever it is that they, whatever external exam they need or reference they need. And that's all quite straightforward, quite easy, but that would be now done on an individual basis, and they need to get in contact with us afterwards and say, right, that was great, but now I want to go off and do something else, and then we'll talk to them.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Okay, cool. So in terms of the actual course itself then, Ray, how do people access the course online?
Well, initially they will be making contact with Coptrz to buy the course. Mm-hmm. Once that happens, they get in touch with us, and we will then send through the login details and password. They'll be emailed directly to the learner, and then away they go. They can do it 24/7 whenever they want to log on, and it's purely automated at that point. It's quite easy. Mm-hmm. They will have the course itself is then self-contained, but after the course, if they then wish to make contact again, then fine, they can come back into Coptrz or ourselves, depending on the type of question that they're wanting to have answered.
Yes, spot on. And just off the back of that as well, how long should the course take, would you say? Because you do a face-to-face.
I think when we're running the course as a classroom, or when we used to run it, it was a 4-day course, mm-hmm. So a 28-hour course.
Yeah,
and it would be 28 hours. The reality we found is that people will take a bit longer than that. I mean, 7 hours on your own concentrating is actually quite a hit. So mm-hmm. we have found that people are pretty good at doing 3 to 4 hours in a session.
Yeah, having
quite a break, and it depends, whether you're in lockdown or whatever, or you work better at night or early in the morning, of course. But I would have thought, yes, it's 28 hours. There is no reason why you couldn't do that in a 4 to 10 day period.
Right. Okay. No, that's spot on. Okay. So essentially, take as many tea breaks as you like, and you can jump on as slow. There's no time limit as well when you do the course. No time limit.
No. The whole point of this is this has got to fit in and around the actual learner's lifestyle and what they need to be able to achieve. That's why it was designed.
Great stuff. So, and I think you actually answered this next question within that. You do get a CPD certificate for that, and it being the 28 hours, is that right?
Yes, you'll get an iRed's CPD certificate, which for a lot of professions has proved in itself to be remarkably useful because it shows a breadth of learning that's taken place, and many professionals need to be able to demonstrate this as part of their quality system for the companies that they work for. Mm-hmm. So to actually have a formalized CPD on your training record is very useful anyway. So you get that on the basis that you will have completed the course. And as I say, if you then want to move it and say, well, actually, I want to be able to say I'm a category 1 thermographer, aerial thermographer, mm-hmm. then fine, fit the 5 pieces of work and away we go. If there is any concern that you could do with more practice or you'd like a little bit more hand holding, then I think on an individual basis, that's going to be coming back to the companies, and then we'll arrange for either another day visit, and there'll be a whole variety of needs from people.
Okay, spot on. No, that's perfect. And slightly different one now then, just to jump kind of against that then, is the actual course itself, Ray. It is a premium price. Can you just explain a little bit on that?
It is, and simply, we are dealing with professionals here, and you're dealing with a professional course at the end of the day. It is something that we've lifted from the ground-based courses, and these have been running for many years now. And at the, we're going to say, so-called premium price, we believe it is actually a highly competitive price mm-hmm. for the information that you're going to be receiving. And remember also, it is we're not aware of any other course for aerial thermography, certainly none that will conform to ISO 18436. And by that I mean all of the requirements of a training program of ISO 18436 for a level 1 thermography is contained within this. So I would say it's a bargain, of course, but then I would
Perfect. No, that's spot on. Absolutely great. Okay, and then just a last one, really. I know we touched on you don't have to have a drone to actually do the course, but essentially, really, this could be for someone that's looking at a drone, looking at a thermal camera. Do you want to just expand a little bit on that? And that is the last question, Ray.
Okay. Absolutely. And this was very, very much a prominent side of when we were starting, when we were asked to put this course together. It came about because we ran ground-based courses, and we even ran the aerial courses, but they were done within the classroom. Mm-hmm. COVID has made everybody rethink about how they're going to be approaching both the learning environment that they're going to enter into and how we're going to deliver it. And we're no different. We had to take a number of preconceptions on the interaction, the button pressing, the experiments that we did with people, and say we have somehow got to come up with a way that we can make this as an online course.
Yeah.
However, what doesn't change is why people come on the course in the first place. And I think this is coming down to answering your question, in that you don't need to have the experience, you don't need to have the equipment. The whole assumption of this is that you can read and write, you understand the English language, and to all intents and purposes can undertake simple maths. There's no formulas that you really need to remember within the course at all. And we will then take you on that journey to say that by the end of it, you will have enough of an understanding that, in truth, is going to make you ask about 5,000 more questions than when you started, because you'll now know what you don't know, and you'll want to, or we hope, and this then leads on to the other courses that we run. Then people say, I need to know more. I want more of it. I want to practice that. or even they come up with ideas themselves. And it's been great for our business, where the number of students have come back to us and said, could we try this? Could we try that? And it's great. And I think this is what we find so exciting. It is a new technology, but at the same time, we believe there are some guiding principles that need to be put across to people. And that's what this course will do.
Oh, that's perfect. I think that's a great way to round it off there, Ray. And thank you for answering those questions. If anyone who is watching this has found this useful, let us know. And again, if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to get in touch. But yeah, thanks again, Ray. And yeah, see everyone later. Cheers. Bye-bye.